Hi, this is Kelly with Gia's Italian Kitchen. Welcome back to our interview series. I'm here with Alicia Simmons with Frontier. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about, and look, we've got food. So we are in Iowa, and you are a guest of Iowa today. So I'm so glad that this worked out that I could come and chat with you. So we're going to talk about their company, we're going to talk about their food, and a lot of their sustainability efforts on really what makes Frontier different from other companies. So you are the sustainability manager with Frontier. Tell us what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. So Frontier Co-op, we're a member-owned cooperative. We're based in Norway, Iowa, a little tiny town outside of Cedar Rapids. We were founded back in 1976 by a bunch of hippies from the 60s who just wanted to, do business in a way that was good for the world, but also service our member owners. So our member owners are the retailers who purchase our product and then resell them in their stores. So at the time, that looked like taking, large quantities of spices and herbs and teas and using their collective purchasing power to purchase these organically and responsibly, I should say, and then repackage them into smaller quantities that the retailers could actually use. So today we still kind of do a little bit of that, where we are basically sourcing raw materials from around the world. We are processing them and then packaging them into our 3 brands. And I am responsible for ensuring that we are doing that in a way that is responsible both to the environment and also all the lives that we touch, from our supply chain partners all the way back at source, through the entire value chain, and then to our consumers here in the US and Canada and the communities that they live in as well. So I handle environmental stewardship, our corporate giving, our basically just making sure that we're a good cooperative member of society. And then also I get to talk to lovely people like you through wearing the PR lens. So yes.
I love it. So we have a number of products here that are, I think you said 3 product lines, right? So when I think of Frontier, I think of there's Simply Organic, which is the blend or the brand of dried herbs. So if you're in the Midwest, this is in a lot of the grocery stores, and these are awesome. And then your new one is the Oracacia, which is kind of the misting and can you describe it?
No, absolutely. So it's always funny to me to hear people say new, because I think it's new. People are not aware of it. We've actually had this brand for 30 years.
Oh, geez, sorry.
You're good. But so, like I said, so Simply Organic is really our primary mainstream line. It's all organic spices and herbs and flavorings and sort of easy to use products like dry rubs and marinades and things like that. Oracacia is our personal care and air care line. It's basically essential oils and carrier oils and natural products that are good for you and your. We believe that what you put in your body and on your body matters. So trying to make sure that we're being cognizant of that in developing products that consumers can feel good about using on themselves, on their loved ones, and in their homes. So
this one's fun. It's called the Chill Pill.
It is, very fun.
So this is a roll-on that you would put on your arms or maybe on your neck?
Yep.
Okay. That would literally is it like a calming, like anxiety, or calming the temperature?
Yeah, it's more about, so it's really heavy on lavender. So lavender has a lot of sort of calming qualities as well. So and then more recently though, we are getting into more air care products as well. So we have
maybe that's what I was thinking.
That's what it is. And that is very new. So we've got we do have aromatherapy mists that we've had, but we have like room sprays now, toilet sprays, because that's a thing now. And so just trying to figure out how we can come up with other different creative ways to help people use essential oils responsibly in the household. So most people were using diffusers anyway, and so it's like, why don't we help them figure out how to make this a little bit easier and take a step out?
That is a big thing, the diffusers. Okay, then we've got the Frontier Co-op brand, which looks kind of similar, but this is called the Frontier Co-op brand. This is called Simply Organic. What's the difference?
So Frontier Co-op is our brand of both natural and organic products. So There are some conventionally raised products here. So Simple Organic is all organic, and Frontier Co-op is a blend of the two.
Okay.
It's also, Frontier has a lot of other things too. So we do have packaged spices and herbs and flavorings and different sort of blends, dry rubs, things like that.
Oh yeah, this is a blend. Okay.
But we also carry a lot of bulk products. So our bulk products help fill the sort of bulk sections of a lot of natural product stores that people that you would know, whether it's your local co-op down the street, or Whole Foods, or let's say. So we have, through those things, we have roots and teas and things that you don't see quite as often.
Yeah. Okay.
And lots of herbs through the bulk program.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the word organic. So, I mean, I think I know the answer, but I don't know. We've got lots of viewers, and when I do my cooking online, I always am like, hey, put where you are from in the chat. And we've got people from Portland to Texas to North Carolina to Chicago. And I was telling Stephanie, we had one from London last year. It was like so cool. So my point is, I don't know if everyone really understands fully what does that mean to be organic and why is it important?
Yeah. So it's important to Frontier because it's really essential to how we live our mission statement. So we have this stated mission to nourish people and planet and to always be fair. And organics play a really critical role of that. Organic product makes up about 80% of our total volume sourced each year. And on the food side, that's closer to 83%.
Nice.
So, getting back to this idea that we want to produce products that consumers can feel good about putting in their body and on their body. We want to make sure that we're providing, safe, high quality organic product that our consumers don't have to worry about, synthetic pesticides and fertilizers and things like that coming into their home, especially when you're thinking about nourishing yourself and your loved ones. Yeah. So I think it's very critical to how we approach environmental stewardship. It's also very critical to how we approach our responsibility to consumers.
Yeah, it is, and it's a health thing. I mean, a lot of my cooking, we're trying to use very fresh ingredients. And it is expensive sometimes to buy organic, but sometimes it's really important to select those items that are organic if you can, so that you are putting as simplistic and pure ingredients into your cooking for everyone. So I think it's awesome. Okay, so then we have, this is one of my favorite things on the planet, almond extract.
Especially in Italian.
To make like an almond tart or some Christmas cookies. Almond extract is a staple for us. Okay, now this I have not used, but I am super excited. A Madagascar vanilla bean paste.
Yes.
So what would I do with this?
Yeah, so you can use vanilla bean paste actually in many ways that you would use extract. It's more if you want to have those beautiful little flecks of vanilla in your baked good or in your whipped cream or whatever it is. And there are actually some delicious savory applications that our brand has been working on. Our brand team has been working on. Madagascar vanilla specifically is world renowned for being, the specific flavor profile that people are looking for when they're making their ice creams and their baked goods. So it's definitely the product that people turn to the most. I feel like the region that people recognize the most as being high quality vanilla. Yeah, and it's also a great place. I mean, to be able to do some really impactful work in terms of our sourcing as well. So,
and you have, we'll post your website and some other contacts in the notes. But if you subscribe to their newsletter, you guys put out recipes all the time, which I just love. So these might get sprinkled in there randomly. I don't know what's going to appear, but those are great because I think those come out maybe monthly or something. And those have great fun recipes in there. So anyway, check that out. Okay, so tell us more about Frontier and you have just amazing sustainability efforts, employee culture. So tell us more about it. Take us down whatever path you want. But there's so many things that just, I think, make this company amazing and really different from other employers, but other food sourcers. So take it away.
Absolutely. So you stop me if you want me to go deeper in anything.
Okay.
But I guess, so just zooming out high level.
Yeah.
So Frontier Co-op believes, we live by this purpose statement, this idea that doing good works, that doing the right thing for, whether it's for the environment or for all of the people, all of the lives that we touch, that it's not charity, that it is just good business, and that people care about it, whether it's employees who want to come work for us, whether it's business partners that want to work with us, in some cases, suppliers who want to maintain long-term relationships with us, or consumers who believe in what we're doing and they want to use their buying power for good and purchase these products in their own stores, in their own lives. So we break down the idea that doing good works into 3 pillars. Doing good works at source, doing good works in our communities, and then doing good works within our walls.
Okay.
So doing good works at source is like foundational to who we are and who we have always been. Back in 2007, we created a program called Well Earth, which is our impact sourcing program. And basically, that is how we fund projects at origin with our farmers and processors around the world. So we approach that responsibility at source, doing good works at source, through a few different things. There's some traceability and transparency in terms of working with platforms to ensure that we have visibility through our supply chain to the labor, work being done at source, and how their agricultural products are being grown, good agricultural practices, good handling practices. All of that traceability goes through that lens. And then there is this resiliency and stability component, which is really focused, is where Well Earth is focused. So each year we make grants out to our sourcing partners around the world for a series of different projects. They could be very business building projects, like helping to purchase a piece of equipment or helping them meet certain food safety regulations, helping them convert to organic agricultural practices, things like that, getting through certification. Right now we're looking at really helping our farmers get through regenerative organic certification. So dedicating some resources to that. It could also be community focused. So one of the best partnerships that we love to sort of point to, and long-term partnerships, is with a second level cooperative in Coban, Guatemala, called Fedecovera. And they are basically a processing co-op that is made up of a bunch of first level co-ops that are all grower co-ops. So it's like a perfect example of how you can use the cooperative model and over scale to create social and economic change and good in each of these communities. So there are 33,000 farmers involved in this whole big co-op, and they have a series of different programs. In some cases, we've helped them with business building activities, but in some cases, they're also coming to us saying, hey, we have this social need, this community need that we need to address. So back in, I believe it's 2015, we worked with them to establish a dental care facility. And so in Coban, so people were, dental health care is not something that they had access to. They wanted to do this. We have this long partnership. We knew that they were able to continue these sort of programs. They just usually needed that sort of upstart support. So we helped start that program. It's still running. The dental clinic is doing wonderfully. But then a few years ago, they were like, hey, rather than having all of these farmers coming from these rural communities out to Coban for dental work, what if we had a mobile clinic that actually went out to each of their locations and provided more preventative care and things like that. So people that weren't waiting until something was really bad and then having to travel all the way into Coban, they were able to get more sort of preventative care and regular health care, both medical and dental, whenever the truck comes into town. So we helped create this mobile clinic. And so anyways, those kind of projects, that's all through Well Earth. I could go on and on about Well Earth, but I love that. And then, so the second tier, or the second pillar is doing good works in our communities. So each year, there's a couple different aspects of this. The first is our environmental stewardship. So everything that comes through in terms of working towards zero waste or being, tracking and offsetting our emissions. We have, solar arrays on 3 of our facilities. We have our whole team dedicated to sustainable product packaging, things like that. All of these sort of things fall under environmental stewardship, and that falls under that communities category. Basically, just being a good neighbor. That's really what that really comes down to. The other lens on that is our corporate giving. So we do roughly $1 million in grants each year, and some of it goes through Well Earth, but a lot of it is actually local and domestic giving. So we have a lot of local partnerships, long-time partnerships with, if you're in Cedar Rapids, like the Indian Creek Nature Center and Etzel Sugar Grove Farm. We have the Frontier Co-op Permaculture Farm out there. We also have worked with Matthew 25 and Catherine McCauley Center and Little Sadie Homeless Services. We have long-term relationships with each of these nonprofits. In addition to that, we also, each of the 2 biggest brands, so Oracacia and Simply Organic, have their own branded giving programs that are dedicated to addressing topics that are causes that those consumers care about and sort of, want those dollars to impact. So with Simply Organic, for instance, we know people are choosing an organic spice because they want to be conscious of what they're putting in their bodies and what they're using to nourish their loved ones. And so we have dedicated the Simply Organic Giving Fund to helping expand that access to organic food, healthy organic food, to anybody who wants it. We don't believe that organic should be something that you have to, that it only exists for certain, income brackets, basically. So the Simply Organic Giving Fund is dedicated to fighting food insecurity across the U.S. and Canada by specifically expanding access to organic food, healthy, organic, nutrient-dense food. So there are a lot of different ways, a lot of different nonprofits from across the U.S. and Canada that do that in different ways that are, systemically approaching a challenge in their community with a unique solution to the community that they're working with. So
is that in the form of like a donation of spices to these organizations, and then they have their own efforts in order to distribute them to consumers, or how does that work?
No, great question. So these are all monetary contributions.
Oh, okay.
But we also will give spices to anyone who wants them. So that always a good way to engage as well. Like, happy to always send spices, but these are monetary contributions.
Got it.
Each of the funds has roughly between $100,000 and $200,000 per year to distribute. Typically between 5 and 6 organizations. So. Locally to me in Colorado, we have Project Worthmore, who's been a recipient of Simply Organic Giving Fund for the last few years. And they are servicing a community of specifically refugee and immigrant families in Aurora, Colorado, so right outside of Denver. Just looking for like systemic, creative ways of addressing food insecurity in a way that grants people, dignity and the ability to choose, the ability to choose what they're bringing into their household. Anyway, it's an amazing program. Highly recommend everybody check it out. For Oracacia, we have the Oracacia Positive Change Project that was established in 2016. So basically, the goal of the Positive Change Project is to help provide resources to women and girls who are making transformational changes in their lives. So this could be, we're very non-prescriptive in our approach about this on purpose. We don't want to say we're only supporting, homeless services or anything like that. So we're looking for nonprofits who are providing, again, sort of unique resources and unique support to the women that are in their community who are facing a very unique need. In some cases, that could be women or girls facing homelessness or domestic abuse, substance abuse. Sex trafficking is a much bigger deal in the U.S. than anybody thinks that it is. So it's definitely something that we all need to be much more aware of. Or women who are coming out of a situation of incarceration and they're just waiting to return to society and figuring out what their life looks like from a family perspective, from a community perspective, from a job perspective. So the Positive Change Project helps provide funding to these organizations who are each taking their unique spin on how to do this in a sustainable way that is effective for long-term and lasting positive change for these women.
Wow.
So yes, locally here, Catherine McCauley Center has been a recipient in the past. We have a long-time partner in DC, Calvary Women's Services, who is, they provide some emergency safe housing, but they're a transitional housing program primarily, but they provide job readiness, skills training, and it's a wonderful program, and it's a really incredible part of my job to get to know these nonprofits and these incredible people across the U.S. doing this impactful, important work. And it's wonderful for our consumers to know that their purchases go to help support that work as well. It helps you kind of feel good about what you're doing.
So the recipients of these aren't necessarily in that category of being in a food insecurity. It could be, like you said, women in transition or these. So just tell us a little bit about how that feeds into your mission when it's not necessarily food driven or food origin, but it's just being community service, right? So I mean, you kind of covered it in the beginning of Pillar 2, but I want to hear more because I love that. But it's not really food driven, but it's still mission driven.
For Oracacia specifically,
or for the grant programs.
So I guess the difference between sort of the first two pillars is everything that we do. I firmly believe that our biggest impact as a company who sources botanicals from over 50 countries around the world, the biggest impact that we can have as a company is how we go to source and making sure that we're doing that in a responsible way. So that's like foundational. And then the branded giving programs are kind of layered over on top of that. That like, yes, you're buying a product that was sourced responsibly, and has we have full ingredient transparency. You know exactly what's going into it. You can feel good about all those things. And also, you can know that your purchases go to help support this other cause that is in line with what you're doing. We know people choose Oracacia because they are making a transformational change in their life. They want to go away from using, heavily artificial or synthetic fragrances on their bodies or in their homes. And so helping women who are already committed to positive change in their own life help make positive change in other women's lives is really the grounding for the Oracacia Positive Change Project. Same thing with the Simply Organic Giving Fund. It's like we know people are reaching for that Simply Organic product because they're being conscious about how they want to nourish their loved ones and doing it in a way that they feel good about. And in supporting Simply Organic, they can make sure that that's possible for somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. I was just trying to connect the dots there a little bit more. So you have all of these sources and partners all over the world. How do you ensure that the quality and their mission on the ground keeps in line, year over year with the mission of the company?
So with sourcing partners, we have a lot of transparency with them. Our procurement team is constantly traveling the world, visiting our partners. We take on these projects and we go visit them and we get these sort of reports back as well. In terms of quality, we do have rigorous quality standards that have to be met internally. Every single raw material that we receive is tested to meet those quality specifications. So from that perspective, we've got lots of sort of touch points as well. From the giving perspective, I stay in very good touch with our sourcing, with our project partners. We've actually recently moved to 2-year programs for both of those giving funds, so I can more specifically keep in better touch longer term with each of those partners and see that longer term impact. It's hard for nonprofits to apply, receive funding, and then within 6 months, basically they're having to give
make an impact with it.
Or having to give a report on how things went, but before they're even done spending the money. So
that's a great idea.
It feels like a much more sustainable solution long term. Also for nonprofits, time is money. If you're a grant writer, time is money. So they don't need to be completing applications every single year.
And that's nice. So that's a great idea.
It's better for the longevity and this, ensuring sustainable impact of those dollars. So
not necessarily of these, but what are some of your favorite products?
My favorite products. I'm my whole pantry is filled with Frontier Co-op brand. I don't know why.
I'm sure.
This is just like the brand that speaks to me a little bit more for one reason or another. But I bake a lot, so I go through a ton of Madagascar vanilla.
Okay. And do you use the paste, or do you use the liquid?
I do use the paste sometimes.
Okay.
I use the paste more for whipped cream than I do for...
Oh my gosh, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
I just love having the little specks in them, you know.
Love it.
Or like for pancakes or something.
Okay.
Something that where it's really easy to see.
To put in a bag.
The specs, I guess.
Okay.
What was the question? I go through a ton of garlic. We have these umami blends. Those are actually under the Simply Organic brand, but I love the umami blends for like burgers or honestly like pastas or things like that.
Is it a powder?
It is powder.
Oh.
Yeah, they're really good. They're wonderful. Yeah.
I'll have to look for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I use Oracacia all of the time. I mean, I've always got a diffuser going on in my office.
Okay.
I use the roll-ons, especially when I'm traveling. Like, it's just nice to sort of freshen up a little bit. The sprays I use constantly because, especially when I'm traveling, I just want to like freshen everything up in my suitcase. And like, you know, it's that's my cheat. That's actually not from the brand. That's just like how I use it. I don't know if they'll approve of that, but that's
everyone has their own, I'm sure, uses that they find for something. So,
and then of course I just buy all of our salt and pepper in like bulk, and I just put it in a jar and refill my little container all the time. So it's nice.
So tell us, if you can, is there like what's up and coming in the next few months or 6 months ish that you might want to share with folks about Frontier?
Oh man, that I want to share with folks, because I feel like that's different than what the brands would share.
Or what the brand would share.
I'm trying to think. So we have, at least for me, so from a sustainability perspective, we've got a lot going on right now. So we are just getting into our new round of Well Earth grants. We're actually just wrapping up a 5-year grant program that we have undertaken with USA Cooperative Development Program. Okay. So we've got projects in Sri Lanka and India and Guatemala, and that is all wrapping up right now. We've got some beautiful videos coming out for those projects that just really illustrate the impact of those grants in terms of setting up a brand new processing facility where the tea farmers will have ownership stake in the company.
Oh, nice.
Really providing a sort of like equity and representation that has not existed in the past in that region. So super cool project there. Yeah. With Guatemala, it's with the same partners I was telling you about, helping them get through some food safety upgrades basically. And then in Sri Lanka, just continuing to expand on food safety, helping them through Food Safety Modernization Act expectations for good agricultural practices and handling practices, and continuing to expand on their knowledge of organic agriculture as well. So all of that's coming up. All of that is coming up from a content perspective, getting some videos out there. I'm really excited to share with everybody. And then we have new grants coming through. We're just starting our first inventory, complete scope 1, 2, and 3 inventory of emissions. So that's a big undertaking. We'll be starting our next sustainability report here in the next few months. So all of that will be coming. Yes.
And then from a product perspective, I think you guys either are in the midst of it right now of is it the pan? What did you call it?
Sheet pan.
pan. So that's new, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, I don't even know how many of those SKUs now, but a whole line of sheet pan meals. So it's really easy to use.
And they're blends, right?
They're all blends, and they'll look just like this.
Oh, okay.
Marinade
in a pan.
So, yes, those will be really fun. And then Oracacia is really going heavy into air care. They've got more products coming out all the time. On the Frontier Co-op side, we're getting into the regenerative organic certified space, so we'll be launching our first set of regenerative organic certified spices and vanilla. That will be coming up in the next few months.
Nice.
So lots of fun things coming through from a product perspective as well. Yeah.
So thank you again for having me. What is something that you would like folks to know that we haven't talked about yet?
Good question.
Either about the company or the products or whatever.
Oh, I didn't really talk much about within our walls yet.
Oh, okay,
do you
sure.
Want to talk about employees a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So that third pillar of doing good works is doing good works within our walls. So obviously we have a significant responsibility to our employees. And not only that, but trying to help break down their barriers to personal and professional success long term. Nice. So through that vein, in 2017, we established our Breaking Down Barriers to Employment program, which is now like this award-winning program, and we're really very proud of it. But it all started with our partnership with Willis Beatty Homeless Services here in Cedar Rapids. They've been an incredible partner, and they basically run our apprenticeship program. So they find clients that they believe are ready for stability and ready for this sort of job readiness component. So they come into the apprenticeship program, they work through it, and if they're interested in staying at the end of that program, then they can be hired on full time as an employee and receive all the benefits and all of this sort of stuff. But if they're not, they get to leave that apprenticeship program with, a few months worth of work on their resumes. They've got, now job skills training that they can, utilize to get their next job, and they will have been making a fair wage the entire time. So helping people address these systemic barriers like lack of experience or lack of even a physical address to put on a job application, things like that. Trying to help address some of those things. Another element of that is second chance hiring. So we firmly believe in that everybody should have the opportunity to be successful and live their best life. And that honestly, in many cases, that just means giving people an opportunity to prove themselves and move past what may have once defined them. Like people are not their past. Everybody deserves a second chance. And so going through and creating second chance hiring practices, ensuring that when somebody starts here, they really do get a fair shot. Nobody needs to know anything about their background. They're not their peers, not their boss. Nobody needs to know. They get to come here and start totally fresh. They go through the apprenticeship program the same way as anybody else, and then if they want to stay on and it seems like a good fit, they get hired on and they can be moving forward toward a successful life again. But also addressing, acknowledging that it's not that simple always. We can't just be like, okay, we're going to make opportunities here. Everybody come now. There are a lot of other barriers. Transportation has been a big one that we've had to address. So we've worked with also Willis Beatty to establish a transportation program. So a van that goes to and from Cedar Rapids 3 times a day, once for each shift. That's subsidized by the company, so people only have to pay $5 a day round trip, which is, for anybody who's not here, it's like an hour plus round trip. So $5 is pretty good. And then just trying to help subsidize that program, provide that make sure that transportation doesn't have to be a barrier. And then of course childcare. We have had childcare since day one here at Frontier. It was like back in the day, people would rotate jobs, and taking care of everyone's children and feeding everybody was like a major job.
One of the posts.
Exactly. So people would, rotate positions every day. But they, over time, of course, people specialize a little bit more. So we today have a childcare facility here in our Norway office that is equipped to
well, and it's really nice. I saw it on the way in. They've got huge outdoor playgrounds, and it's wonderful. So it's right there. You can go see your child.
Yes, exactly. We can have up to 110 kids there. We also have a reimbursement program. Childcare is an incredibly personal decision for parents, and in many cases, they may already have a provider that they're committed to, or they want to have somebody that's closer to home or something like that. So we have a reimbursement program that will also help with that. We just try to identify and address systemic barriers that our employees are facing to, again, professional and personal success, and try to help break those down as best as we can. So childcare is a huge component of that. It's one of the number one reasons women list for not coming back to the workplace. If you look around, we got a lot of women in this workplace. We're still more than 50% women here. So,
and especially since COVID in 2020, when you look at the statistics, that is the largest population that have left the workforce. And you've got the economy, and it's really hard to balance all that. So that's wonderful.
So getting to celebrate all of these things has been wonderful, and getting to have more conversations with other employers about how they can adopt similar practices. Like
Okay.
on-site childcare is not for everybody. Like not everybody can do that. That's totally fine.
Sure, yeah.
But like, how can you come up with ways? What ways can you as a company as an employer come up with to have a positive impact in the world for your employees, for your partners, for your customers or consumers? Like what good can you do in the world? And it's been so much fun to get to engage more with other companies.
How long have you been with Frontier?
8 years.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I want to keep talking, but I know that I need to let you go.
That's all right. Yes.
But thank you so much, Kelly with Giasitaliankitchen and Alicia with Frontier Co-op, and we'll put links in the notes so that you can find them and find me, and we'll put more close-ups of these photos so that you can find these in the stores. Simply Organic is probably the one you're going to find the most, so be on the lookout for that and some of their new products this summer. So
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.